My husband ecstatically told me his lottery ticket hit the jackpot, but above him floated.
Stupid woman, he's taking the cash to his ex, then dumping you.
I froze. Then, more comments flooded.
Run, the apocalypse is coming. Global freeze.
Hoard supplies, divorce him, take half. Buy a rural farmhouse. That's your bunker.
I acted fast, divorced him, took 50 million and left. When the blizzard hit, my ex and his lover froze. Meanwhile, in my stocked, rural home, I ate hot pot with my parents. The massive info dump and betrayal made me dizzy. I could barely stand.
Doomsday countdown, 15 days. A brutal storm drops global temp to -100 degrees.
Food and fuel become currency.
I leaned against the cold wall, forcing my chaotic brain to focus. That Yao was his college sweetheart. Mao Bufan hung up, wearing his fake, affectionate look. He grabbed me.
Honey, we finally made it. Buy whatever you want now.
Feeling his touch, my stomach churned. I desperately suppressed my intense hatred and disgust. Mao Bufan, let's divorce. He froze. His smile vanished. The floating text returned.
He thinks you're playing hard to get, extorting money. He's about to gaslight you. Bing Bing, what's wrong? Are you insecure? Because I won? Stop joking. After all these years.
Before he could finish, I snatched the phone right out of his pocket. Tess warned me he panicked and forgot to delete his chats. I tapped the unnamed rabbit profile picture. The messages were disgusting.
Mao, she's so annoying. When are you divorcing her?
Soon, baby. Once my company recovers, I'll kick that ugly bitch out.
Your wife's cooking is delicious. Too bad she doesn't know. It all ends up in my stomach.
Attached was a photo of my bento sitting on her desk. The timeline showed this started a year ago. I shoved the screen in his face. Mao Bufan, tomorrow, AM, Civil Bureau. You cheated. So compensate me. Fair, right?
You knew, you set me up.
I just want 50 million. Let's end this cleanly. Your shares, the house, the car, I don't want them. Keep them all for your Yao. Hearing my terms, greed flashed in his eyes.
Fine, hope you don't regret this. Keep the car in the garage. Consider it a parting gift.
Early next morning, we rushed to finalize it. Holding that red divorce certificate, I felt unprecedented relief. He transferred the 50 million immediately, staring at all those zeros. I finally had confidence for the future. He sped off, probably rushing to tell his lover. I returned to the place I once called home. I entered the walk-in closet, staring at the expensive clothes I had carefully curated for him. A dark urge for revenge surged. The floating text read my mind, offering a guide: spray his cashmere, down jackets, and fur with diluted bleach, then toss them in the dryer. Once he wears them, his skin will itch and rot. He won't suspect a thing. Imagining Mao Bufan and Yao suffering in the freeze, in those toxic clothes. I smirked. I started packing. I rated all the meds. Cold pills, antibiotics, stomach meds. I took everything, even the pickles my mom made. I left absolutely nothing. Packed it all. Before leaving, the text gave one last tip. I grabbed a hidden spy camera and installed it in the living room. Task complete. I grabbed my suitcase. I took one last look at the place that drained 3 years of my youth and blood. Zero regret. I slammed the door shut on my past. I drove through the night, speeding all the way back to my rural hometown. Mom and Dad were waiting, faces full of anxiety. Seeing them, hearing Mom say,
Bing, you're finally home.
My strong facade completely shattered. I hugged them and burst into tears. Mom, Dad, I divorced. I spilled everything: the cheating, the bizarre floating text, and the impending apocalypse. Dead silence filled the living room. They looked utterly shocked. In complete disbelief, Mom anxiously touched my forehead, whispering to Dad,
Did the divorce traumatize Bing? Is she losing her mind?
I silently unlocked my phone and showed them the bank transfer. Mom instantly burst into tears.
My poor daughter, how much did you suffer?
Dad stared at me with red eyes.
True or not? I believe you. If the sky falls, I'll hold it up.
In that moment, all my fear and anxiety were crushed by his solid words. Dad was a man of action. He hired a trusted crew overnight. Before dawn, a massive truck quietly pulled into our yard. The cover story, earthquake reinforcement. For the old house, following Dad's orders, the crew reinforced our two-story house with thick steel plates and top-tier insulation. All windows were swapped for bulletproof, triple-pane, vacuum glass, guided by the text. I raced against the clock, shopping online like crazy. I avoided flimsy solar panels. Instead, I ordered an advanced indoor aquaponics system. I also bought a compact wind turbine generator. I showed my parents the specs, explaining how we'd grow endless vegetables indoors and generate our own power off-grid. Seeing the high-tech gear, their last shred of doubt vanished. It was replaced by grim determination. Our Doomsday Fortress project officially began. From that day on, we raced against time. We had to secretly transform our home into a self-sustaining Noah's Ark without drawing attention. Dad tapped into his network. He hit the wholesale, building and farming markets, claiming he was building a warehouse. He ordered mountains of charcoal, smokeless coal, and diesel to avoid suspicion. He used different delivery trucks, dropping supplies at random locations. We hauled them back at midnight at a friend's meat packing plant. Staring at tons of meat, Dad slammed stacks of cash onto the table. Ignoring the manager's he lied with a straight face.
We're throwing a massive, 3-day village feast to celebrate our harvest.
He slipped the manager a fat bribe to keep his mouth shut. He demanded all meat be vacuum sealed and left unbranded. Meanwhile, I turned into a shopping maniac. I raided mega supermarkets. I pushed multiple carts, clearing entire shelves of toilet paper, bleach, toothpaste, and feminine care products. When the manager and shoppers stared, I whipped out fake charity documents, flashing a flawless smile. Hi, we're buying donations for a rural school. Seeing the official stamps, the manager's attitude flipped. He even gave me a warehouse discount at the grain market. I went all out. I lied about opening a huge restaurant abroad and needing bulk stock. I bought tons of rice and enough cooking oil, salt and spices to last years. Again, I demanded everything be packed in unmarked white bags. Mid-shopping spree, the floating text flashed
The
a
blizzard
red
will
warning.
destroy the power grid. Solar panels will freeze over. You need a backup power plan.
Panicking, I immediately contacted an industrial battery supplier. I posed as a telecom agent, needing emergency grid batteries for a remote mountain cell tower. I ordered industrial batteries capable of powering a building for weeks. Was our busiest shift. We rented plain box trucks, moving supplies like worker ants while the village slept. We secretly hauled truckloads of gear home. Under the moonlight, Dad and I unloaded in silence. Mom rapidly sorted and shelved everything. The process was intense but flawless. Aside from our heavy breathing, there was dead silence. I also hit a tactical gear shop. Following the text, I bought top-tier hazmat suits, high-voltage stun batons, professional climbing ropes, pulleys, and military gas masks. In the apocalypse, these would save our lives. Late that night, exhausted, I finally checked my phone. A post caught my eye. It was Mao Bufin. He and Yao were hugging on a sunny beach in the Maldives. Yao looked blissfully happy. The caption,
A new beginning, love and freedom.
Staring at it, I expressionlessly liked the post. The text cheered,
Beautifully done. Let them enjoy their final sun. Soon, they'll learn what true despair is.
As supplies piled up, water storage became an issue. The text warned against massive plastic tanks. They attract much attention and crack in extreme freezing temperatures. Dad heard this and had a genius idea. We ditched the tanks and secretly excavated a massive underground reservoir. The crew laid down pro-grade waterproofing and a complex filtration system. Now we had a guaranteed safe water supply. We even reconnected our water pump to an old, hidden well. As a backup, Mom took charge of our protein source. In the reinforced backyard shed, she raised dozens of chickens and ducks. One day, she walked in, carefully holding warm eggs in her hands. She wore her brightest smile since this crazy prep began.
Bing Bang, look, we have eggs. Raising livestock was smart. We'll have fresh food every day.
Looking at this precious protein, I felt incredibly relieved, but our actions drew the village's toxic gossip. They saw us fortifying the house and harvesting crops early.
Has the Zhang family gone mad? Ruining a perfectly good house, turning it into a tin can. Yeah. Didn't their daughter just divorce? Heard she got a fat payout. Must have lost her mind.
Look at them pulling out peanuts before they're ripe. What a waste.
We ignored their gossip completely, at my insistence. Risking being called complete fools, we harvested our unripe crops early. We washed, sorted, and locked them in our storeroom. Doomsday countdown. 3 days, the weather turned bizarre. The temperature skyrocketed, hitting a record-breaking 113 degrees. The brutal sun roasted the earth. The air felt like it was catching fire. Everyone hid in AC rooms complaining, but I knew the truth. This was the final death rattle. Before the global freeze, I anonymously posted online, vaguely warning people to stock up for an impending extreme weather event within 10 minutes. My post was nuked for spreading panic. My account was permanently banned. Seeing people mock preppers online, I felt powerless. Whatever, I did my best. Dad grabbed tools and completely sealed all our windows with thick wooden planks from the inside. He left only one tiny, camouflaged peephole. With that, our house became an impenetrable bunker. We quietly awaited Judgment Day, the day the countdown hit 0. The blizzard arrived at dusk. The sky morphed from a sickly yellow to pitch black in mere minutes. Massive snowflakes and heavy hail, driven by hurricane-force winds, slammed violently into the ground. The howling wind was terrifying. The world went dark, but inside our home, it was as warm as spring. The furnace roared bright red, keeping the living room incredibly cozy. We sat by the fire, listening to static on the emergency radio broadcasts, drinking Mom's hot mutton soup. Dad was worried about the animal shed. He geared up in his heavy winter suit to check.
It's fine, but it's freezing. The wind could blow a man away.
How's the shed?
Thank God we reinforced it. The old sheds in the village are probably already ripped to shreds.
Suddenly, my phone buzzed.
What did you do to my clothes? Yao and I wore them, and we're covered in rashes. We're itching to death. Did you do this?
Listening to his impotent rage, I let out a soft laugh and hung up instantly. Then, I switched to the hidden camera feed. Mao Bufan and Yao's apartment had turned into an icebox. They were shivering violently, wrapped in thin blankets. Yao was crying, scratching her bleeding skin.
This is your fault. Yours and your ex-wife's. What do we do now?
Mao paced around frantically, cursing me out. He tried to bribe the property management for fuel. He spammed the resident group chat. Anyone who brings us supplies gets $15,000. Finally, someone took the bait. Mao ecstatically transferred the cash. Then, the guy instantly blocked him. He vanished. On camera, Mao furiously smashed his phone against the wall. It shattered right on our old wedding photo. The frame cracked. His eyes were filled with venom, like he wanted to crawl through the screen and eat me alive. I watched it all, feeling absolutely nothing. The blizzard raged for a full week, with no sign of stopping. To kill time in our bunker, we established a strict daily routine. Every morning, Dad trained us in the basement gym. Every afternoon, we brewed tea and watched downloaded movies. One day, to celebrate surviving week 1, Mom suggested a luxury meal. We made epic homemade hot pot, premium meat from the packing plant, incredibly fresh, paired with the first batch of greens harvested from my aquaponics system. The pot boiled, filling the warm room with steam. On a whim, I snapped a photo of the hot pot. I posted it online, setting it visible only to Mao Bufan. Right on cue, under a minute later, he video called me. I signaled my parents to be quiet. Then answered. He looked utterly haggard, nothing like the arrogant man I knew. Behind him, Yao looked like a corpse, completely withered away.
I was wrong. I'm so sorry. Please. For the sake of our marriage, save me. Tell me where you are. I'll crawl there to apologize. I'll be your slave. Just give me a bite of food, please.
He bawled hysterically, looking pathetic. I said nothing. I just silently pointed
At the fresh
camera.
hot pot meat.
Then, I cut the call. I checked the spy cam. Mao snapped, like a rabid dog. His bloodshot eyes scanned the room frantically. His gaze locked onto Yao, who was clutching a bag to her chest. He lunged at her. He violently ripped the bag away, pulling out a hidden bag of chips. Her final ration. Menjio screamed and fought back. But Mao, blinded by starvation, viciously slapped her to the floor. Meanwhile, society was collapsing. The resident group chat blew up. With reports of violent home invasions, Mao and Yao's food ran out completely. Driven to the edge, they smashed their neighbor's door in. The camera angle was limited, but I heard everything. The neighbor's agonizing screams and Mao's savage roars. Minutes later, they bolted back into their apartment, clutching bloody stolen cans. Week 2. The entire city lost power and internet. Cell service died. We were cut off from the world. Our only link was the radio. Luckily, our wind turbine and the backup solar panels Dad constantly cleared. We're still fighting hard. They provided our essential power, making our house the only beacon of light. Late at night, a loud crack echoed. Someone smashed a first-floor window. Dad and I instantly went on high alert. We silently crept to the peephole, reflecting off the snow. We spotted shadowy figures outside.
Nobody's home. Get in.
A man hissed excitedly. The thug scrambled toward the window. Dad didn't panic. He calmly walked to a hidden electrical switch, gave me a signal, and violently slammed it down. It activated the high-voltage electric grid secretly wired to our walls and windows. A blood-curdling scream shattered the night, followed by the heavy thud of bodies. Looking through the binoculars, we recognized the twitching bodies in the snow. They were local village thugs, starving and desperate. They thought we were an easy mark. In the apocalypse, the scariest thing isn't the weather. It's human nature. After that night, Dad intensified my training. He pulled out his prized crossbow and taught me how to shoot. In the basement.
Remember, Beng, I can't protect you forever. You must learn to fight back.
Inside our secure bunker, an endless daily training. Another month dragged by. Today, the internet suddenly flickered back, then died. In those brief minutes, my phone's spy cam app downloaded massive offline footage. I clicked the newest clip. A bald, scarred brute lounged on Mao's sofa, devouring a hot rice meal. This thug was the complex's new warlord. Using brutal force, he seized all remaining supplies. Mao Bufan, like a beaten dog, knelt at the warlord's feet, begging pathetically.
Just a bite of food. I'll do anything.
The warlord wiped his greasy mouth. His eyes locked onto the corner, where a ghostly pale Yao cowered.
You want food? Sure. Give her to me.
Mao Bufan glanced back. He hesitated. But that hesitation lasted mere seconds. To trade for a single box of rice. He stood up, grabbed Yao's hair, and violently shoved her to the brute. The video ended with her blood-curdling, desperate screams. The endless lockdown turned the outside into a silent graveyard. Every day, using binoculars and Dad scouting, we watched the dead world. This afternoon, Mom peeked through the second-floor hole. She spotted our neighbor's skeletal children kneeling in deep snow. With frostbitten, red little hands, they desperately dug for anything, searching for edible roots under the ice. Mom's eyes instantly welled up. She stared silently.
Let's give them some sweet potatoes. Those kids are dying.
Don't be naive. We save them today, tomorrow. The whole village knows we have food. They'll slaughter us all. I won't risk our family's lives.
This was their first explosive fight since Doomsday began. Mom cried, calling Dad cold-blooded. Watching kids starve while doing nothing. Dad snapped back, calling her naive, blind to human evil. The bunker's mood instantly hit rock bottom. Caught in between, my heart ached. I knew Dad was right, making the rational choice, but seeing Mom shattered tore me apart. That night, nobody spoke a word. We ate in dead silence, tossing and turning in bed. Dad quietly opened my door. He shushed me, signaling to follow him to storage. He silently scooped half a sack of rice and grabbed 2 slabs of cured meat. Packing them tight, he whispered.
For old Zhang, years ago, when my leg broke, his son carried me down the mountain to the hospital daily. This debt must be paid.
Watching Dad brave the blizzard, I realized he wasn't cold-blooded. He just protected us his own way, guarding our family and his unshakable moral code. Just as my heart warmed at his secret act of kindness, my phone buzzed. Target malbufen, vitals 0. Cause of death, starvation. And complications. I froze. The expected ecstasy and never came. The man I once loved and fiercely hated just vanished silently into this frozen wasteland. On the basement wall, the dense tally marks filled an entire section. We had been trapped here for exactly a year. The initial survival rush faded. Even I felt an unprecedented, crushing depression. Mom stared blankly out the hole for hours. Dad sighed, heavily, constantly. The bunker's air felt utterly suffocating, just as this silent despair almost drove us insane. A brilliant golden line of text drifted across my vision.
Don't fear. Snow stopped. The freeze is ending. The sun is coming out.
Like a lightning strike, I launched off the floor. Mom, Dad, my voice shook violently. The text says the snow stopped. The sun is out. They snapped their heads up, eyes wide with pure, disbelieving shock. Half doubting, Dad snatched his crowbar and sprinted upstairs. He opened the wooden planks that sealed our window for a full year, when outside wasn't the familiar, raging blizzard, but a completely still, blindingly white world. We all held our breath. It really stopped, Mom sobbed, covering her mouth. Tears streamed silently, the massive weight crushing my chest for a year shattered. My nose stung, nearly crying too. We survived. We outlasted this endless winter. We couldn't wait. Together, we ripped off the boards. The frozen world, locked in ice for a year, was finally revealed to us once more.